Hi guys. So, no one asked for my opinion, but I suppose I do want to give my own 2 cents on the whole situation going on with um the singer Tyler and everything that's basically been happening with her, and just basically weigh in and give you guys my unwarranted input basically on what's been going on. So all this is kind of centered around the fact that she used the term colored, and she referred to herself as um a colored South African, right? And a lot of Black Americans, I don't know exactly what Americans, I don't even like using the term Black Americans because we don't usually say white Americans, so I just like saying Americans, whether you are brown or not, yeah, an American. But for the sake of understanding, I'm just gonna use the term Black American. And a lot of Black Americans feel like she might have been denying her blackness. That's another thing. I also don't believe in race, but for the sake of understanding, I'll be using those terms black, white. So a lot of people feel like she was denying her blackness by trying to refer to herself as colored and trying to distance herself from her black side, and not trying to acknowledge the fact that she is, half black. But I also think that one thing a lot of Black Americans are failing to realize is that, where she is from, which is South Africa, colored is actually some other type of like racial group of people, which are it's basically just biracial, right? It's like a biracial group. And the Americans don't have that. In the US, you are either black or you're white, and then there are other ethnicities like Asian or other groups. I'm to be honest, I'm not really well versed myself on all this race ethnicity stuff. I do find it very confusing because, in my opinion, race in itself it's a social construct, and it's very because it's this thing that's wrapped in lies. It's wrapped in a lot of make believe, a lot of lies, a lot of false things created by Europeans to center themselves as the superior people in this world. It's a fake. That's why there are a lot of gray areas, a lot of loopholes when talking about race, because race in itself is just some type of classification system that was created to benefit only a specific group of people, and so everybody else who were placed below that group of people are the ones who are unfortunately today the most affected by the creation of this thing called race. And I'm gonna take a different approach to talking about this than I've seen. I understand both how Black Americans feel and also how South Africans may feel. So on one hand, let me begin with my own personal opinion. I mean, I do agree that she should have educated herself a bit more on what it means to use that term colored in the USA, especially in the US. The US is not a random country. It's not a small country. It's a very big country, and like many have said, you're attempting to break into the American market. You have to educate yourself, and you have to make sure that you're not using any terms that may be deemed offensive, right, to the Americans. And she didn't do that, right? She failed to do that, and she used that term unapologetically because from where she is from, that term is not offensive. And that's where she was wrong. She was supposed to educate herself. And I don't blame Black Americans for being upset I don't. Why should they be upset? They should rightfully be upset because that term colored has a ton of evil. It has a demonic entity attached to it. It has a like very bad energy attached to it for in regards to what Black Americans have gone through, what their ancestors have gone through, and what they continue to go through till today. And just because that term, I want you guys to pay attention. So the very same people, right, who created that word, right, and that term to segregate and to oppress are the very same people who created that term and word in South Africa. And I want you guys to just pay attention who is being affected the most because of that term being created. It's not even the people who created that term. It is those who are fighting. It's those for whom it was created, and they are fighting now amongst themselves over, who's colored and who's not. It's kind of crazy. And in my humble opinion as well, the fact that colored is even a thing in South Africa as well is kind of crazy, but oh well, whatever, to each his own. Yeah. Now, where I will criticize, Black Americans is, I feel like with TYLA, I think there's a lot of jealousy going on, and I'm gonna get a lot of hate and slack for this, but I feel like a lot of people are kind of like using this as an opportunity to express hatred towards TYLA for a variety of reasons. But one main reason I'm suspecting is just jealousy. Just people have various reasons for which they are jealous of a person, and I think that a lot of people are jealous of TYLA, and they're just using this as an opportunity to call her names like one that I've read quite often is arrogant. How, like, we don't know who TYLA is. TYLA, you've never had a conversation with TYLA a day in your life. All you see is what she shows you online, or yeah, she wanted someone to hold her award once at some award show. But why, why do you take the little you've seen of her and then you just conclude she's arrogant? Because that's a very heavy word to label someone as. It's a very heavy term to label someone as arrogant, or in my opinion. Yeah. And another really interesting point that I saw someone make was that South Africa is riddled with a lot of colorism, and not even just South Africa, but Africa in general. As I'm Cameroonian, right? And I can only speak for Cameroon because I haven't been to like other African countries. But we are right on the border of Nigeria, or right close to Nigeria, especially the English side from which I'm from. From which my dad is from. But we are very similar to, we share a lot of similarities to Nigerians, and a lot of similarities to, in fact, the West Africans, the Central Africans. So I can confidently say that there is a ton of colorism on the African continent, and the lighter you are, the more admixture you appear to have. I wouldn't say you have more privileges, but you are seen to be more attractive. Yes, on the African continent. And so I did see a comment where someone said TYLA thought that she was better than Black Americans because she is colored. She's a colored person, and that's why she felt the need to stand on the fact that she's colored. I would say, to be honest, I just think she was just it was ignorance on her part, using the term colored because that's all she knows. I wouldn't use age, to be honest, as a reason for ignorance. I'm not gonna lie, because 23, there is a lot one should know at the age of 23. So, but again, you have to give her grace. We have to give her grace. We have to give people grace. I don't know why people are attacking her so much. It's kind of, that's why I say there's definitely an element of jealousy, because, bro, it's not. Give somebody grace. It's not like she defended the use of the term colored in the US. She just called herself colored because that is what she is termed from the country in which she is from, and that's all she's ever known. It doesn't mean it's right, to be honest. Just because honor killing is legal in Saudi Arabia doesn't mean that, and I could be wrong, it might not be legal in Saudi Arabia, but I'm just trying to give an example. Just because honor killing is legal in some Islamic countries, it does not make it right. It does not mean it's a good thing. And the same thing with the term being term color. Just because that term is legal in South Africa, it doesn't make it right as well, because wherever it's being used, even in South Africa, it's got racial connotations, and it's to inherently say that a group of people are not this ideal group of people. Yes, it will always be that, because the group of people who created that term, that is what they created it for. Even though the people for whom it was created don't see it as that, it doesn't matter. Something that means apple will always be an apple. It doesn't matter how you use it or what you use it for, it will always be an apple. This phone, even if I use this phone as toilet tissue, the person who created this phone created it as a phone. It doesn't matter if I use it as tissue, it will always be a phone. So what was I saying? I literally digressed. Oh my gosh, I have to now think about what I was saying. So I basically, I remembered what I was saying. And I was saying, so what the comment was basically what the comment said was, TYLA felt that she might have felt that she was better than Black Americans, because in South Africa, when you're colored, you're in the middle, so you're not the low of the low, which is, unfortunately, we all know, Black, and that's not according to me. That's according to those who created that system. That's according to those who created the hierarchy. They created it white, colored, and Black, right? And now I'm not expert on South African history and all that stuff. I have no interest, to be honest, in even getting into that side of things, because it angers me so much to think that there was such a thing as apartheid on a predominantly Black continent. There was such a thing as apartheid, and even to today, the population is 80%, or let's say 70%. In fact, let me check right now. What population of South Africa is Black? So about 81% of South Africa, according to demographics of South Africa, according to Wikipedia, about 81.45% of South Africans are Black. And so it's just crazy to think that there was apartheid in a country where 81% of the people are Black. I don't even want to think about that. So, and colored people are approximately 8.15%. So she might have felt better, because in South Africa, they are higher on the hierarchy triangle, right, than the Black folks, right, the bottom, the lowest of the low. And that's how, and you know what, Black Americans, I understand why they would feel that way, because again, as an African, I'm African, and I understand a lot of dynamics that are at play amongst Africans, amongst African circles, amongst black folk, people will argue culture, this culture that, you know, we all know. When it comes to this race thing, we all know. We all know that things like light features like lighter skin, looser hair texture is viewed as more attractive or acceptable by, I don't know how other groups of people view it, but we know, I personally know that in African communities it's viewed more as more attractive and more likable, because a lot of Africans actually suffer from generational trauma, and as a result, self-hatred. And this is not to talk down on Africans at all. This is where, if you know my channel, if you've watched my videos, my channel is all about raw conversations and honesty. And I might be wrong. I make this video so that I can generally be able to talk about these things with people. But I wouldn't blame Black Americans for feeling that way, like for having those thoughts and thinking she thought she was better. I wouldn't, because you know what, she might have thought she was better. She might have thought she was better, and maybe what this whole thing happening was like a lesson for her, or a lesson for not just her, but like for people who still adhere to this internalized superiority that, because that was created by this specific group of people. Maybe it's a sign that it no longer stands, and it will be strongly rejected. I don't know, I'm just saying. Now, like, what are my final words on this? My final words, I don't know, like, I still don't understand why TYLA is getting so much hate. Like, at the end of it all, it's really weird. Like, I can understand where both sides are coming from, but it's like, come on now, like, give her some grace. Like, people have done way worse things in this world, and they get way more grace. I mean, just look at Diddy. Diddy still has supporters. Come on now, like, it's kind of weird. And at the end of the day, TYLA, like, we have to also remember, like, she did not mean any harm. She's also just a human being. She's learning, and just the same way our Lord gives us grace, we should also give other people grace. Please, like, we shouldn't wish for the downfall of others, or hope that people are going to learn their lesson. Basically, like my last video, be happy when other people suffer. Like, come on, let's not take joy in the plight of others. Let's just simply pray for them. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed this video. And comment down below. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.